for all.
You may be seated. First item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. And at this time, I would like to note to our council members that item 7 on our agenda will be deleted, and that is our proclamation in regards to the special recognition of Mr. Von Alexander. And we did a proclamation at the Little League opening day Saturday morning, and I was informed by Mr. Alexander that he could not be here tonight, and he may not be able to be here next council meeting because of conflicts with the Little League, but that he would let us know when he could be here, so at a later date we will be recognizing him officially. So with that being said, do I have direction from council for the agenda approval as changed for tonight?
Motion we accept the agenda as amended.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to accept the agenda as amended for tonight's meeting. All in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There is none. Okay, the next item is approval of the minutes of A, our city council regular meeting of April the 10th, 2023, and B, our city council work session meeting of April 25th, 2023. What is the pleasure of the council?
Make a motion that we approve both sets of the minutes at one time, the city council regular meeting of April the 10th, and the city council work session meeting of April 25th.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented for city council regular meeting April 10th and city council work session of April 25th. All in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It is unanimous. Next item is the mayor's comments. Let me begin by giving an update on the possible sale of the Historical Museum. Our city is still in the ongoing upset bid process, and no decision will be entertained by this council until this process is completed. On April 25th, the council held its regular work session, followed by our annual budget meeting. City Manager Dalton and Finance Director Dixie Wall had worked long and hard on this budget. The council gave a thumbs up on their work, and we look forward to presenting this to our citizens on June 12th, 2023. This past Wednesday, I was invited to attend the weekly Rotary Club luncheon. Guest speaker was Gaston County EDC Director Donnie Hicks, who gave a presentation on economic development within our county. Afterwards, City Manager Brian Dalton and I met with Director Hicks to discuss possible business development within our own community. On Thursday, I gave the welcoming address for the annual National Day of Prayer held in our community building. Council members John Abernathy and Jill Pewitt gave inspirational prayers for our city, nation, and military personnel. And later that evening, I attended the annual Chamber of Commerce banquet held at the Cherryville Country Club. And finally, this past Saturday, I attended and read a proclamation honoring Don Alexander for his 45 years of service to the Cherryville Little League. Mr. Alexander was completely surprised by this recognition, and City Council will be recognizing him publicly at a later date. And on Saturday night, I attended and gave the welcoming address for the 2023 American Legion Baseball Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Our city's own, Cherryville's own Danny Aker was one of 6 inductees into this prestigious society. And that concludes the mayor's comments. We will now go to item 8, which is special recognition of employees for their years of service. And I have several here to present tonight. And if I call your name, would you, any of your family members or friends, like to come forward? Our first one is Denise Boyce. Denise. This certificate is awarded to Denise Boyce in recognition of 5 years of service to the city of Cherryville. It is signed by City Manager Brian Dalton and H.L. Bean, Mayor. Congratulations, Denise. Denise is responsible for keeping this place the way it looks, so anytime you come in here, just tell her how much you appreciate it. The next certificate is for Derek Tom. Derek, this certificate is awarded to Derek Tom in recognition of 5 years of service to the city of Cherryville, signed by City Manager Brian Dalton and Mayor H.L. Bean. Congratulations, Derek. And our last one is for Brian Doolittle. Our police department has 2 tonight. Well, you're not gonna get 2. This certificate is awarded to Brian Doolittle in recognition of 15 years of service to the city of Cherryville, signed by our city manager, Brian Dalton, and Mayor H.L. Bean. Congratulations, Brian. And now, our next item on our agenda is the citizens to be heard. And at this time, any citizen that would like to speak may do so by coming to the podium, stating your name and address, and remember, comments will be strictly held to 5 minutes. And at this time, we have one person that has signed up to speak. That is Pat Sherrill. So, Pat, you have the podium.
Hi, I'm Pat Sherrill. I live at 208 West Main, and I'm here because I'm interested in a museum. I want to add my congratulations to Denise Boyce because she has also helped the museum. So she's done a lot for a lot of people. I wanted to mention that our board at the museum is getting more organized. This new board is taken over in January. Our president, Al Putnam, and Vice President Linda Barger are going to do a good job. They're very capable of handling a meeting. Amy Bean is the treasurer, and she's already found a CPA who's going to do an audit because you can't get these bigger grants if you don't have an audit. And we have someone who's also going to help, who is new in Cherryville, Jennifer Pilon. And Lori Pruitt is the secretary, and she's going to do a great job, and she's already started that. And Cindy Powell is a new volunteer who's already done a great job of helping us clean up at the museum because we really had a mess. One thing we haven't done in the past is we haven't complied with our bylaws in that there's a 3-year term. So we're going to do that now. That 3-year term is going to be acknowledged and taken care of. So people will rotate off the board in 3 years. There have been a lot of people who've helped the museum, and you know, we can, HL comes here and he talks to all these people about what they've done. He doesn't tell you what he's done. He has helped the museum. He has come anytime I've asked, and he has helped with the exhibits and the sports exhibit. And Nell Parker was one of our famous volunteers. Nell she was up for doing anything. One time she pretended and played the part of Bonnie in Bonnie and Clyde. And she was arrested. Of course, she robbed the bank. And Gary Freeman is framing one of his artwork that he's done, pictured the museum. He's framing that to make it look better, hang up in the museum. And Margie and Don Holmesley have always volunteered as long as they could. Malcolm Parker found donations for the museum. And Brian Dalton's mother, Barbara, has always been a longtime friend. And Palmer Husteller was the first president. So you have people who, right here in the city, who have given. And I think they ought to be acknowledged too. I found that, sometimes people say, well, you're making mistakes. Well, the only way not to make mistakes is not to do anything. And I think, we can't be mistake-free, but we can learn from our mistakes. And the mistakes at least show that we're trying to do something. My main reason for being here is we are doing a book for the museum. This book is a fundraiser. And it's going to be a book about Granny the fire truck, because everybody has loved the truck. Children's got their pictures made, and H.L. had his picture made on the fire truck. We want everybody else to come have their picture made on the fire truck too. So get in line, because I think it'll be a good thing. And the last time I was telling Ben Blackburn's son, the last time I saw him was when his dad brought him when he was little to the museum. So all these kids grow up, and and I've been there a long time, so I've seen them all. But in 1992, when the museum opened, the man who drove Granny, the fire truck, on her last mission was Emmett Clark, and I have a picture of him. And he drove that fire truck on its last mission in 1957. And when the museum opened in 1992, he came by the museum building to look around to see where he was stationed and to remember all the memories he had. And so I want to keep our memories. Some people say you don't live in the past. You don't live in the past, but you learn from it and respect it and appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Anyone else would like to speak during Citizens to be Heard? Okay, if not, we'll move on to item 10, and this is continuation of our public hearing in reference to Piedmont Lithium property relinquishment from ETJ. We have our Planning and Zoning Director, Alec Blackburn, who will lead us through this. I would entertain a motion from council to go back into public hearing at this time.
Make a motion, go into public hearing. Second.
Have a motion and second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
We are now in public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. At this time, there's nothing new to add from the previous two meetings, other than we've met all general statute requirements for a zoning amendment change such as this. If you have any questions for me, of course, my job to answer those questions.
I have one question. I was just wondering if you have any feeling for other municipalities in our area and what they are doing with their ETJ. I know there is a bill that is being considered on the state level that would require all municipalities to relinquish their ETJ.
Correct. There is one working its way through the Senate right now, or the House right now, that would require all cities to release their ETJs by June or July of 2025. That is in the works. I'm not sure how far that will go. This is nothing new to our state. In Gaston County alone, there is 6 cities that do not have any ETJ that have relinquished all of it, and there are 6 other cities that have either held on to it or released it in some small part. I know that there is one between Cramerton and Belmont that they have an agreement that when they do relinquish it, it goes from Belmont, it goes to Cramerton, just to keep control of certain areas that are high impact in there, like the Main Street, Wilkerson Boulevard.
Okay. That was my only question. Any council members have any questions for Planning and Zoning Director Alec Blackburn? Okay, if not, we do have some citizens that wish to be heard at this time. The first citizen I have down who signed to speak is Dan Setzer. Dan, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address, and comments will be held to 5 minutes.
All right, good evening. Dan Setzer. I live at 1417 Long Shoals Road, and that's Lincoln, but it is in Gaston County. And so I've been keeping up with Piedmont Lithium's mining project since May 2020. I've spoken to Gaston County commissioners and Mr. Blackburn here, asked him a couple questions. But at this point, there are a lot of details missing, and as residents, we have a lot of concerns and questions still yet. So one of the most alarming things to me about this mining operation is that the 4 mine pits surround the confluence of Beaver Dam and Little Beaver Dam Creek. And this confluence, this area, is only 3 miles upstream from the South Fork River. So the risk to drinking water and well water is extremely high. And I'm sure you've probably heard from other residents about your concerns to the environment and damage that may be caused. But also, if this is approved, the traffic on our local roads, especially 279, will be increased immediately with heavy trucks carrying material, supplies, and equipment. And their plans also include closing parts of Hexaber Church Road and Whiteside Road. So that would be decided by the state, not Cherryville or Gaston County. So a point I want to make is that this application for relinquishment is approved, it's going to be permanent. But Piedmont Lithium's mine and the jobs are going to be temporary. The mine's going to be gone in probably less than 30 years. So after that, there's no telling what Gaston County might approve. It could be a hog farm or an incinerator or a fertilizer plant, but once it's relinquished, Gaston County takes over. So like I said, there's a lot of questions and concerns that we don't have time to talk about, but in my humble opinion, and in all fairness to the residents and business and churches, and for all other questions about the environment, pollution, and the roads, if the only reason to approve this relinquishment is for the convenience of a private company who's going to be gone one day, then that's not a valid reason. I heard the comments about the Senate, but anyway, so that's just my piece, and I wish you luck. God bless.
Thank you, Dan. Next person that has signed up to speak is Michael Knipe. Michael, if you'll come forward, state your name and address.
Michael Knight. I live at 5121 Whitetail Court, Krause. Don't live in the city limits, live in Cherryville Township. Didn't vote for any of you guys, can't vote for you, can't vote you out, can't recall you. But you 5 have got the power to affect my life, my wallet. I've worked in oil and gas industry, mining industry, 16 years. So it's nothing new to me. I know what it's about. They're going to tell you that it's no big deal. They're going to blast dynamite six days a week. I don't know if you've ever seen them take the top off of mine. It's something to watch. But, you know, you talk about life blooms in Cherryville. Well, to be honest with you, y'all never had anything to do with us. We tried to get water from you guys many years ago during the drought. You're not interested in annexing our development. There's 49 houses in that development, 49 wells. We're less than half a mile from that property. So, I'm a little bit concerned, and I'm deeply disappointed. I'm deeply disappointed in you guys. Because it's not just about Cherryville, it's about the Cherryville Township. You've got one family here in Cherryville. It's heavily involved in getting this mine, or Piedmont Lithium in here. Heavily involved. Nobody. Nobody on this board has ever thought to themselves, you know, there may be a conflict of interest here. Nobody's ever thought. We got one young man on the, works for the city. Got his sister working for the Piedmont Lithium. His dad's a former, city manager. Every time I see a picture of Piedmont Lithium functions, he's right there with you guys, just like he's part of you. Nobody ever thought about that? Every year I have to take ethics and integrity training. Every year. The first thing they stress to us, the first thing, avoid at all costs any perception of wrongdoing. Doesn't mean there's wrongdoing, but you avoid the perception of wrongdoing. That's all I gotta say, because like, you're gonna do what you wanna do, but there's a lot of houses out there, a lot of nice houses. People moved out there to get out of the city, live in the country, and now they're gonna be dealing with dynamiting, their windows rattling, clouds of dust, and potential for the water. And there's no water system out there. You can say that Piedmont Lithium's got a mitigation plan. My well goes out when they start drilling. How long am I gonna be without water? Who's gonna pay to hook it up to my house? And then I'm gonna have to pay a fee. I mean, it's just not right. That's all I got.
Thank you, Michael. Next person that's signed up to speak, Beth Valone. You'll come forward, state your name and address, please.
Good evening. I am Beth Malone and I live at 109 Old Coach Lane near Walmart, for those of you who don't know where that is. I heard that most of the time the people who speak regarding the ETJ or the mine to the council are not members of the city of Cherryville. Well, I am a member of the city of Cherryville, so I'm here to make sure the city, the citizens are heard. I am asking you not to relinquish jurisdiction of the property at heads of the Church Road and Anthony Grove. If things go as planned for Piedmont Lithium, this property will be part of the hundreds of acres of natural space, green space, to be used for what is known as, has become known as the Gaston County Pit Mine Complex, so we can go green. The mine material would travel to what is now our ETJ to be processed at the proposed lithium hydroxide plant. It would be built not far from a church and a school where there will be children. Did you know the mining application asked if there are any parks within a certain radius of the proposed mine? Have you stopped to ask why? The answer was yes. Cherryville does have a park within the specified radius. The mining application is being considered by the state. Air quality issues will be addressed by the North Carolina Division of Air Quality. There would be train cars taking the processed material out of what is now our ETJ and into the Cherryville city limits if the mine and subsequent chemical plant become a reality. I travel the area and I know what a headache we have with train traffic now. With more train traffic and switching tracks, it will only be worse. We need to ensure the area will still have good traffic flow and it is safe in the event of a derailment or accident with this product. I urge you to exercise your authority to assure everything is being done to ensure the safety and health of your citizens. If the mining complex does come to the Cherryville Township, the original purpose of the ETJ is to give cities that extra layer of protection for their citizens. I urge you to vote not to relinquish the extraterritorial jurisdiction on the property at Anthony Grove Road and Hexagon Church Road so that the Cherryville citizens still have a voice. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person I have down to speak is Dr. Dennis Bean. You will state your name and address.
My name is Dennis Bean. I live at 1423 Freedom Mill Road. I'm the pastor of Anthony Grove Baptist Church. I've been there for 25 years. We're at 100 Anthony Grove Road. We're across the street from the 156 acres of ETJ that you have been asked to relinquish. This here is a public hearing. I believe the purpose of the public hearing is to hear from the public. This is our third meeting. I've been to every one. I haven't heard a single person in favor of relinquishing the ETJ. Not a single one. But if we were to ask tonight, who is against it? I believe everyone in the overflow and over here would say they're against it. So my question to you, as the governing body, are you going to listen to the citizens? Or has the decision already been made behind closed doors? What is the purpose of zoning to start with? I mean, who came up with the audacity that the government could tell a homeowner what they could and could not do on their own property? Well, we came up with the idea of zoning to protect our property from something being built next to us that would destroy either our quality of living or would destroy the value of our property. You have the ETJ for that purpose, to protect us. If you relinquish that, what you are saying to the people surrounding that is you do not care about the value of their property and what takes place there. I'm just wondering if we would have to have 3 public hearing council meetings to relinquish the ETJ, where they're going to build a lithium hydroxide chemical plant. If it were going to be built across the street from First United Methodist Church or First Baptist Church or in your neighborhood, would it take 3 meetings to decide? I don't think so. Mr. Blackburn mentioned earlier that Cramerton and Belmont have an agreement. If one releases the ETJ, the other one will get it. And the purpose for that, he said, was to control what takes place on that property. So if you give up the ETJ, what you're saying is you don't want any control of what happens there. Now, if you maintain the ETJ, you can approve anything Piedmont Lithium asks you to do, or you can disapprove. But if you give up the ETJ, you have no say-so at all. And so I plead with you on behalf of the 1,500 members at Anthony Grove Baptist Church that you protect our property, our school that has children in it. We have a preschool and a daycare with over 100 children in it. Would you release the ETJ for them to build a chemical plant across from Cherryville Elementary School? If you wouldn't, why would you do it to our school? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bean. Do I have anyone else that's here that would like to speak during our public hearing at this time? Anyone else? Okay, if not, then I would entertain a motion from council to exit the public hearing at this time.
Make a motion to have public hearing.
Have a motion and a second to exit public hearing at this time. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, the same? There is none. Okay, at this time, we will have a discussion of our public hearing from our council members. It is open for council members for discussion at this time.
The city of Cherryville, upon a request for relinquishment submitted by Piedmont Lithium LLC, has spent a great deal of time and effort researching both the pros and cons of such action as it pertains to the 137.15 acres located in our extraterritorial jurisdiction. This matter was taken very serious, and in order to provide the best possible decision for both our city and our citizens. Throughout this process, city staff, as well as all of your officials, have met with Gaston County. We have met with Piedmont Lithium. We have talked to many citizens in Cherryville, Gaston County, and across this country. And we would like to thank all of them for their involvement, their participation, and their insight in helping us to make this very tough decision. On August 6, 2021, the Gaston County Board of Commissioners entered into a moratorium regarding the county's Unified Development Ordinance so that they could undertake the task of updating their ordinances to address the operations of a mine and possible developments of this magnitude and their impact. In doing so, Gaston County secured guidance in addressing this use and to minimize the impacts if allowed to progress. The county was able to adopt an ordinance as well as a special use permit requirements that would further govern such details of a mine, such as hours of operation, fencing, buffers of a specific height and quality, setbacks from property lines, potential access points, lighting, landscaping, dust suppression, and noise mitigation practices at the proposed site. Among the list of requirements is contained a schedule for blasting that would prevent such occurrence from taking place outside 1 hour after sunrise and 1 hour prior to sunset. Nor should any blasting take place on Sundays, Christmas, Good Friday, New Year's Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, and 4th of July, and also to include other relevant and applicable state, federal, and local permits. At this time, the city of Cherryville does not have an ordinance that would address the proposed use in a matter such as Gaston County's. If the subject parcels are not relinquished, this would create two separate oversight jurisdictions for the same use that may not prove a seamless alignment. However, if the request is approved, then all parcels and projects would further abide by the guidelines established by Gaston County. The decision to relinquish the 5 parcels in the Cherryville ETJ is not a decision of approval or denial of the aforementioned project. It is rather simply a decision to put the most stringent requirements in place covering the entirety of the project, should the county commissioners vote to approve. Piedmont Lithium and the previous owners of the 5 parcels requested this relinquishment with the knowledge of the existing ordinances set forth by the county and the requirements that they would have to meet. The company has been available to meet with staff and members of the city council on an individual basis, and they have shown a willingness to cooperate in answering all of our questions and the concerns that we have proposed to them. Furthermore, as already been mentioned, Senate Bill 675, Part 3, Section 1 is currently being addressed at the North Carolina Legislature to revise General Statute 160D201 and remove all TJ authority from all municipalities. Based on all the above, and based on much prayer and thought, the city of Cherryville feels it is in the best interest of our citizens and our city to relinquish these 5 parcels located in our ETJ to Gaston County. At this time, I would like to make a motion to approve the relinquishment of the ETJ based on the fact that the request is appropriate and reasonable in the public interest based on the majority of the land for the proposed use being located within the zoning jurisdiction of Gaston County. This action is made to provide a single zoning authority for the proposed use to conform to. Furthermore, the adoption of this ordinance is deemed an amendment to the City of Cherryville Land Use Plan.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion on the floor and a second to relinquish the parcels and 5 parcels in question within the ETJ currently of Cherryville to Gaston County. Do I have any other discussion by any council member? If not, I would ask all in favor of this motion to please say so by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say aye. And it is unanimous.
Good.
Okay, we will move on in our agenda to item 11 is consideration to amend the city contract in regards to approval of alcohol sales for third Thursday events. And our city manager, Brian Dalton, will lead us through that.
And then this guy here.
Mayor, council, what this is, if you can remember years ago, there was a vote taken to allow alcohol sales at Cherry Blossom, July 4th, and such events. And third Thursdays have become popular now, so we need to have a vote on the same, to allow the alcohol sales on the third Thursday events.
Okay, do you have any questions from, any of,
And if you'll, I'm sorry, Mayor, but if you'll look there too, you also got the hours that they can sell. It's no earlier than 5 p.m. and no later than 8 p.m. on the day of the event.
Just 3 hours.
Yes, ma'am.
okay,
I'll make a motion that we approve that for 3 hours.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the amendment to our, city contract in regards to approval of alcohol sales for third Thursday events. Any other discussion by city council? If not, all in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, it is unanimous. Next item on our agenda is consideration to set a public hearing in regards to our fiscal year 2023-2024 proposed budget. This would be setting, this public hearing for June 12th, 2023, which would be our next regular scheduled city council meeting. What is the pleasure of the council?
I make a motion to set a public hearing for our next city council meeting for the proposed budget.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to, set a public hearing of June the 12th, 2023 in regards to the 2023-2024 proposed budget. Any other discussion by council? If not, all in favor of the motion, please say so by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. There is none. It is unanimous. We'll move on now to item 13, which is other business. I do have one thing, but I need to confer with you on the Veterans Parade. Is everything in place for that?
So it's going to be coming up, they'll be putting out
Well, I
information.
need to know, do we need to vote to close Main Street from the stoplight to the mini park for that?
Just for.
Would that require a vote if we're not?
You know, last year we talked about meeting there in the parking lot of City Hall, and they just make a right on the main street, so all we do is basically just have.
Just have a policeman there?
Yeah.
And get them to the mini park and go from there, so we wouldn't have to close.
The only question yesterday at church, one of the veterans had asked me, well, what about the cars coming through? Would there be cars on each side of the street? Or would they use the very middle of the street for the parade?
Well,
They have to
it's is this the same one we're gonna do with golf carts?
Yes.
Am I right? They would just stay in that travel lane just as they ordinarily would and go to the mini park straight there and should be fine.
Okay. Okay, I know most of it's lined up. I know they have a speaker and they're gonna have a proclamation. They're gonna have, music, playing for all divisions of armed services.
I
And,
haven't spoken to anyone directly, but if you can, get me the name of the individual that's over the parade, I'll make sure to reach out and put them in touch with Chief Hunter. Are you over?
Well, I'm kind of been drafted by
You been drafted,
one of the legionnaires.
Well, we'll sit down with Chief Hunter and we'll get it all.
We'll get it together.
That's no problem.
okay, that's the only thing I have under other business. Do I have anything by council for other business? Okay, how about staff?
Only thing I'll say is give you an update on Westgate. I don't know if you've been down that way, but, Mike still has got there and tore the old tennis court up. So we're waiting on him to get back and be able to pour us a 60x60 pad. So Mr. Sosby can get in there and do the pickleball courts. We did order 2 new basketball goals that came in last week. We're gonna try to get them up hopefully this week, and then Mr. Sosby can come in and resurface the basketball courts and go ahead and finish that part of the project. And then we're probably looking at sometime latter part of June that Mike can get back and finish paving the whole part of it.
Mike Steele,
Mike still, and finish the culvert, so we have to replace that culvert going into the park.
okay. All right, well, anything else by staff or anyone? If not, I would entertain a motion for adjournment at this time.
Make a motion, adjourn.
Have a motion and a second for adjournment. All in favor say aye. All opposed, there is none. We are adjourned. Melissa,
Yes, sir.
It's better than.
Always fun. My worry is really for them. I know, like even in just ministry, it gets out. As tough as you can be, it gets under your skin.
Baseball playoffs.
It affects your heart, affects your health. I worry about John.
It'll be all over paper.
Yeah. I know. It's like ministry, man. It'll still get under your skin. Eat healthy. Get like I got 2 kids. I know how that was not happening. I grew up as a preacher's kid. Little things. It's really not the, for me, it's not the strangers that get under your skin. It's usually love or care about them. It's my church. Really. I got to grunt each time. I asked him, I said, what's your name? He said, what's your name? He said, just trying to be friendly. You're at the Presbyterian? But that's, I guess his birthday. Yeah, that's right. I have students, I got another my own name, let work be one. Yeah, that's me too.
They just basically took our facts and done that with it. So how can I get that done? Where can I get that done? Yeah, I don't have a, like a call.
I can get it on the metal. The problem is, it's a real three-dimensional.
I mean, I have a,
Probably people because I can get it on metal, grain, laser, or just
so I mean, I really just want, I use this on my litter. They just took this
I purposely, you would make it to where always a little bit deeper, like you would make the dimensions, and then you just pour out your silver, whatever you use. It's like whiskey, and I guess you have to be like a licensed welder. And that's if you're doing it local. I would find out everything. Those badges are pretty hard. I carry around my chocolate lab. I can try to track down and see who made these.
Yeah, I mean, I can get the. I'm all for trying to list where I can have it on computer. So just, I wanna. Oh, Gary, I'm sorry. Here's one side. Oh, yeah, so I thought you meant you were like a physical.
Well, let's go get one now. You have this on my phone?
I have this on my phone.
Find it on your phone.
I'll set the time today, when I call, I've done it before, the half time to call it. Opposed action shot where you're out actually working. You can something else. You just tell me when you're planning to do it. Okay. How's Ben doing? Ben doing all right?
Long knock week?
Yeah, I'll get up and have problems.
Live stream off. Where's oh yeah, he's out there. Yeah, how are you? And yeah, he's out here.
How do I? I'll show you exactly.